Hello and welcome to UAT Time within the United Countries special by First Ukraine. You can find us on the frequencies available on our website, firstua.com. I'm Sergey, Velichanskiy.
And I am Olivier. UAT Time is dedicated to bring Ukraine and Europe closer to each other by introducing the real Ukraine to the rest of the world.
2 years ago, in 2014, Mariupol, one of the 10 largest Ukrainian cities, was thrown into a turmoil of public unrest and local warfare between Ukrainian National Guards and the unknown with machine guns wearing ski masks. From May till July, the city was under the so-called Donetsk People Republic, but then it was freed by the Ukrainian army.
Our guest today is Maksym Iali, Senior Research Fellow at the Institute of World History of the National Academy of Sciences of Ukraine. He is also a consultant to a member of the Ukrainian Parliament since 2015 and a member of the Continental European Union Club.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for stopping by again. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Me too.
Now, usually May 9th, it becomes pretty much a first and second anniversary of the events that took place in Mariupol back in 2014. Let's go back, and could you please just describe what did happen back then in Mariupol?
Well, as you know, 2 years ago, it was actually already for about a month some unrests by DNR supporters. They captured city council, and it was set free only on the 7th of May 2014, just a few days before the 9th of May. And as you know, people usually celebrate, commemorate the victory in the Second World War on the 9th of May. And again, there was a peaceful demonstration organized by Communist Party of Ukraine. And during this demonstration, it was obvious that the most of policemen were there for security measures. And a group of pro-Russian terrorists tried to capture city police department with machine guns. They shot, they occupied two stories and 2 floors, and they shot some policemen who were there, but there were only a few of them. And at the same time, there was a meeting held by the head of the city police department together with representatives and heads of volunteer battalions, Azov and Dnipro. And that's why actually it helped a lot, because when they heard shooting, they got in touch with that battalions and asked for help, because there were only a few of them and much less than those who tried to capture. And besides, some of the policemen betrayed. It was all became obvious later, because they knew that there were only few policemen inside the building. And when the representatives, just soldiers of National Guard and Dnipro and Azov battalions came to help, there were already a lot of people murdered, even some passerbys, peaceful, and still they managed to cope with them. But at the same time, a crowd came up from pro-Russian activists. There were a lot of provocators inside, and they helped even to avoid, to escape the last terrorists who tried to capture, while they were already captured by the representative of police and National Guard. Moreover, when already these just crowds started crying, just Nazi, get out, because there were rumors spread around the city that right sector, famous, well known for that time, came to the city to kill people. I want to remember that this event took place just a week after.
Yes,
tragedy
and I want
events
to
in
ask you a
Odessa.
question about that.
Well,
after.
Yeah, and when they tried, when they retreated few streets in direction to the center of the city, again they just tried to surrender them. And as we can see from some videos already, which are in the internet, there were some, again, terrorists who started shooting from guns to soldiers of National Guard, trying to provoke them to shoot them back.
Yeah.
And moreover, there was a sniper who killed not a passerby, there was just a man assisting a correspondent from Russia Today, I would like to mention. Yeah,
okay.
He was wounded, he was trying to assist him, and he was shot down to the head. The point is that when later analyzed, of course, people, the crowd, they saw just some soldiers with machine guns who were also scared by the crowd, and they saw a man that fell down.
Yeah.
They thought, of course, that it was done by the soldier,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
the point is that he was shot to the back of the head,
Yeah.
so it was impossible. Just
And yes, and I want you to ask a question. You talked about Odessa, the event of Odessa, the tragedy of Odessa.
Yeah.
Now in Odessa, you know, this is very difficult to know for some of citizens of Odessa what's really happened. And now, you know, in Odessa, some of my friends say to me that this is very difficult in Odessa because a large part of the citizens are pro-Russian. And what is you analyze about Odessa tragedy, and what is the link for you between Odessa tragedy and what happened in Mariupol?
Well, let's recap what did happen in Odessa for
Yeah.
the viewers.
Yeah.
Recap it.
just some pro-Russian, I can recap it just for our visitors, that on the 2nd of May 2014, there were again two demonstrations, one pro-Russian, one pro-Ukrainian.
Yes.
And there were clashes because some pro-Russian, I would say terrorists, because they killed even some of them. They had guns, weapons. They shot some football fans
Yes.
who also had some weapons because they were well prepared. They knew that could be some provocations. And the members of pro-Ukrainian, some pro-Ukrainian activists, firstly, they just kicked back, I would say. And then they, of course, when they started clashes, when they saw that some of them were killed, it's very important because first victims were from the side of pro-Ukrainian activists.
Yes. Yes.
And when they again started these clashes, police didn't do anything. There is a great, I would say, it's their fault, I would say, because they couldn't react appropriately. And when these clashes started, because there were hundreds of people, they came to the building of just professional
Trade union building,
right?
Yes.
And there was just used some bottles, Molotov cocktails.
Well, here's the thing. As far as the facts, that day there was a football match.
Yeah.
So, and as a tradition, during the war times, all the football fans and ultras, they made a peace treaty between all of them, so they would not fight. And so, before each football match, they joined together for a demonstration. So the police intended for the demonstration to, go through the downtown, the main streets, but the separatists, the pro-Russian meeting started to gather, and so they attacked the Ukrainian fans. And after having seen several people killed by the pro-Russian, then the crowd became very furious and they attacked the trade union building, and as a result of all the chaos and battle, and the fire trucks came only like 40 minutes after the fire took place, and so about
49 people unfortunately were burned.
Can we think about a global strategy did by the Kremlin in Odessa and in Mariupol? Do you think about a global strategy?
Of course, it was a strategy because, as I told you, these tragical events took place.
But I want to say a global strategy because
global strategy.
A lot of analysts in France. When I talked with some of my friends in France, they say, "Okay, Olivier, we know what's happened in Maidan, but some of them say to me, frankly, we are sure that Kharkov, Odessa, and all the east of Ukraine will be under the Russian influence." And they say to me that they were sure that Kharkov and Odessa will leave definitely the Ukraine. And I say no to them. I said no, never. And for me, really, when I saw the Odessa tragedy and Mariupol and what's happened also in Kharkiv, that's for me a global strategy, really very well-known global, very well organized strategy.
Yeah, so the point is that, as I can just quotate Russian President Putin, in that times he declared that these 8 oblasts, regions of Ukraine belong to so-called Novorossiya. It was Novorossiya project that time, because they knew from the strategical point of view that Crimea without these regions is nothing, because it's a peninsula, and if there is no just connection through the mainland, it's very difficult, almost impossible to supply with all necessary goods and stuff. So the point was even just if to analyze strategies of Novorossiya ideologies such as Dugin, the most famous so-called geopolitics expert, he said that the plan was just to unite Transnistria region, also just a black hole, so to say, where Russian troops located, with the mainland of Russia. And therefore, as you know, Odessa has a border with Transnistria, and it was very easy to capture it if there were, as due to the plans, unrests, serious ones. And Mariupol is on the way to the Crimea. So the point is to join Russia, continental Russia, with Crimea. It was necessary to get this land corridor through the Mariupol. And moreover, how these, as you asked, answering your question, these events two connected, it's very important to notice that on the 11th of May in Mariupol was planned so-called referendum for DNR. And therefore, it was needed to get some unrests, with the help, of course, Russian propaganda, to show it on TV, these unrests, and just to spread rumors that right sector, because people really were afraid because of that rumors, that they will come and start killing people, as you can analyze just what was shown concerning events in Odessa, so that they were representatives exactly of right sector, for people to come to vote for DNR. And actually this main goal was achieved, because on the 11th of May people were scared because rumors were spread, and because these representatives of Azov and Dnipro were dressed in black uniform without insignia. So, of course, these provocators said that these are the representatives of right sector. And the technology, actually, how the city police department was tried to be captured, was exactly the same as in Donetsk and in other cities of Donetsk Oblast, because everywhere it was started with the main police department, special service department, they were captured. And
city
then
administration.
city administration,
And
the
it's
same.
done by the people.
Remember, Maksym, we discussed during Maidan. We discussed together,
Yeah.
and for me, I received some phone call from French analysts, and they say, you know that we are sure that Putin will go to Kiev, and he will stop in the Dnieper River only, and he will take a large part of Ukraine. And I received phone call like that, and we discussed about this plan
Yeah, I
of
remember.
Russia. You remember? And Putin lost, and that's amazing because it's because of the Ukrainian people. They refused this, and that's
Yeah.
really a miracle.
Yeah, a miracle.
Well, let me go just a little bit back. At the same time, the Russia Today and the other propaganda Russian media, the events that took place in Mariupol, and here's how it happened. The meeting was taking place on one side. 30 armed, unknown wearing ski masks people with the machine guns attacked the police department at the same time. And so, and only when the police couldn't hold it anymore, they called for help of the National Guard. And at the same time, the provocators dispersed the news that those policemen that did not want to serve Kyiv were being killed
Yeah, exactly.
in the police department. So the people got furious and they wanted to go and free those supposedly
Exactly.
the policemen. Yes, and so when the National Guards with some battle vehicles came, and there was really, a full-blown war with some hand grenades and and the mortars and then I saw the report from the Russia Today, and they used a little piece of video from here and from here, and they used terms that the National Guards attacked civilians,
Yeah.
started shooting civilians, started burning the police that didn't want to serve, Kyiv, and so it is a complete twist from the truth. And the same thing with Odessa.
Yeah.
And even until now, 2 years from now, a lot of people still
Yeah,
believe.
but if you see a Sputnik TV or Sputnik newspaper online, this is obvious that they did.
Now it's already, obvious. The strongest emotion of human being is scare. That's why it was done to use this emotion for people to be frightened and to go to that so-called referendum. And how they use the unique technology, I would say. There are about 500 people living in Mariupol. So usually on elections there are about 200 election stations. And they opened only so-called 4 of them. And of course, people who wanted to vote, and there were some, of course, we must admit it, supporters, those who just were influenced by Russian propaganda, they came there, and of course they were accused, because just for polling election station, for 500,000 people city, and of course it was used by medias to show how many supporters of so-called DNR, there are in Mariupol. And of course, but anyway, just it was the most important that they failed to capture the police department. If they did it, as they managed to do in other towns, small towns and cities like Donetsk, it would be much more difficult than to win it back. It would be much more serious consequences for Ukraine.
But Mariupol was still, for a couple of months, was not loyal to Kyiv, right?
I can't say it wasn't loyal, because you see, it's another questions concerning just the heads of special service And police department, I can't say because he was pro-Ukrainian, and exactly on the 9th of May, he was captured finally by so-called terrorists, and he was released later already. But the same concerns the city mayor, who was holding just conducted negotiations with the representative of DNR, and they were just opened the so-called department. Yeah, it still was working, and there were some people with machine guns capturing. Again, they tried, because as I mentioned before, 2 days before it was released, before that events from supporters of DNR. But then again, when it happened, they started capturing again, and they did it.
And when you said in your interview that for you, when the ambassador of US say in Mariupol that Nova Russia project stopped in Mariupol, what is your analysis about that? Because of this people resistance?
Yes, exactly, because they people managed to not to allow them to occupy it completely, because you know Mariupol also is very important from strategical point of view, not just through the mainland corridor to Crimea, but as well there is one of the biggest ports of Ukraine. So if from the point of view of geopolitics, to capture Odessa and Mariupol, if they did it, if they managed to do it, they would cut down Ukraine from both Sea of Azov and Black Sea.
Yes.
So, and it was the strategy, because as you know, Putin explained the occupation, annexation of Crimea by the threat of NATO alliance.
Yes.
So therefore, in Odessa, there could be, and there is, you know, the rest of the fleet, Ukrainian fleet, were taken there after Crimea was annexed.
They give back this fleet? No.
No.
No. Yeah.
Just it's another. I would say,
But do you think there could be even economical reasons for Mariupol to for them to try to take back? Because, like as we see here, first of all, it's 500,000 people. The statistics for January 1st, 2015, that live in Mariupol and the suburbs. Yes. There are 56 industrial enterprises in Mariupol under various plans of ownership. The city's industry is diverse with heavy industry dominant. Mariupol is home to major steel mills, including some of the global importance, and chemical plants. There are also important seaport and a railroad junction. The largest enterprises are Iali Iron and Steel Works, Azovstal, Azovmash Holdings, and so forth and so on. This is 37.5% of the total production for Donetsk Oblast.
Exactly.
Which is like over $1 billion revenue.
Yeah, of course. From this point of view, it's center
and we know some of those plants used to have some contracts for Russian space program.
Well, military program anyway. You know, there was another try to capture Mariupol.
January 24, 2015.
Well, it's another tragical event when Grads were used and attacked. I mean, in August 24th, when there was a second wave, I would say.
Oh, okay.
I was there at that time. It was just a nightmare. There is a small town, Novozovsk, close to the border to Russia. And on the Independence Day, the 24th of August, Russian tanks got there, because my friends were there. Just a day before, he came to visit his girlfriend, and he couldn't come back, and they were obviously Russians, absolutely. And can you imagine the situation? Because after Mariupol was set free from pro-Russian separatists, there were only just a few hundreds of them, actually. And it was pretty easy, I would say, for Mariupol. Mariupol was very lucky. But when tanks came, only even from all that tragical events, there were only Azov volunteer battalion, few hundreds of people with machine guns, taken care, I mean, security. Nothing was done from this point of, from the point of view of security. And of course, if tank attacked Mariupol, just they were, I repeat, just 30 kilometers from Mariupol.
Yes.
They were already there. It was the biggest threat. There was a panic inside the population.
Sure.
People started evacuation, just trying to escape because they knew if.
But for me,
The point is, I want to finish. Sorry.
Yeah.
When Baradai, that time, the first so-called prime minister of DNR,
Yes.
were on TV show, you can find it in the internet as well. When he was asked, he was that time the first prime minister of DNR. When he was asked in one of his interviews in Moscow, why didn't you get Mariupol that time in August? You had all the necessary things,
Yeah.
weapons, etc.
Yes.
He said, you know why you mentioned these just plants, yeah, industrial, the biggest plants actually.
Yes.
They belong to Rinat Akhmetov.
Okay.
His version was that there was a deal between DNR and Akhmetov, because the point is the majority of his enterprises, yeah, biggest, are located in Donetsk
Yes.
and just uncontrolled territories.
Yes.
And they are export-oriented. The point is that Odessa was already, I mean, port was closed for him. It was controlled by Kolomoisky, another
Yes.
tycoon. And the only way for him to export his production was Mariupol seaport. So if it was captured by DNR, he would fail.
Yeah.
Nobody, he wouldn't be able to export his production. This is, I want to recall the the version of so-called prime minister at that time of DNR.
Well, unfortunately, time is up.
Oh.
Yes, and the story still is in the making, and you know, every day we get different news. Before we move on, I want to draw your attention to Facebook. Find us on the Facebook, facebook.com/first UA channel and facebook.com/UAT time. And to finish, what do you think about the Minsk agreements, especially now they're talking about the elections?
Holding elections, yeah,
Yes.
on uncontrolled territories.
What is your take on that?
The point is that now Minsk process has come to a deadlock.
Okay.
And you know, previously, due to these Minsk agreements, Ukraine promised to pass the amendments to the constitution.
Yes.
Yeah, concerning these uncontrolled territories, to give it special status.
But now there is a new way.
Now a new way they are demanding. I mean, Germany, France, Russia to hold elections.
And Besmertny, one of the participants, resigned from that group.
Resigned, exactly.
What does it mean?
Well, he understood that it's impossible to find a compromise, even
yes,
due to the latest
the
news.
Minsk agreement is impossible to implement.
Yeah, the point is because it's impossible to hold elections on the territories uncontrolled, because weapons and militaries.
You and I, we know that, but seems like it's somebody's forcing that. So it supposedly it will.
I don't think it's possible.
Okay.
Moreover, you know, U.S. president elections are coming in November, and until that time, I suppose we will not face any progress in this field.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
All right.
It's impossible to implement.
All
It's
right.
impossible.
Well, that's just let's just hope it's not gonna take place. But some things tell me that it's not that easy. We'll see.
Exactly.
We'll see.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Let's hope for the best.
Yes, let's
hope.
do. Okay. It was United Country UAT time by First Ukraine. Our guest was Maksym Iali, Senior Research Fellow at the Institute of World History of the National Academy of Science of Ukraine.
Olivier Vedrine and Sergey Velichanskiy were working for you in the studio. Stay with us and we will show to you the real Ukraine.
Thank you for being with us. Have a good day and see you soon.